Yeah, what's up, everybody? I'm here. Um, like I said, that stream. I got to get the link from Am1, but once I get it, I'll produce the link. Miss me yesterday? Where? Anyway, um, I'm actually excited about this conversation. I actually got some notes. So yeah, I just want to do YouTube age restricted one of my videos, but hey, I don't mind that. Wait till I turn on this full monetization. I got to worry about. One second. So what's up? What you all are? Yeah, like I said, I listened to that Jason Black stream. That Jason Black stream was dope. It really was. So, a lot of it was it's like so. I would definitely recommend you check out the first hour because that's where the content is. Now, he had to throw his little shots like he always does. Notice how he don't even talk about Tommy no more. He just talk about the manosphere. And once I realized now that I get, and I always kind of thought that with the competitive shit, but it's just so obvious now. A lot of that shit is childish because honestly, he would have more influence if he just off the strength of he said if he just cooperated, but he wants to choose. I hate, I don't watch Game of Thrones, but I like that phrase, choose violence. He wants to choose bullshit. And because his folks, he has an occult following, he's surrounded by yes folks. So ain't nobody gonna really tell him that shit ain't even that's not the move. And a lot of that shit is that antisocial shit, which trust me, I understand. That's why when people talk about why I wasn't gonna go to that meetup, it ain't about antisocial. I just don't trust it. Too many motherfuckers. They like to switch up too quick. Folks are too fickle. But I'm glad it was a success because I think a lot of brothers need that. I think the space needs that. That gives us an aura of legitimacy. Everybody can't be like me, but at the same time, some people want attention. Some people are cool being behind the scenes. I'm trying to just run in my mouth at this point while we getting this thing going. Part of it is deeper than jealousy, but part of it is jealousy. Like he's an exaggerated version of what you see here. And I'm not trying to dismiss everything everybody say is they just mad, but at the end of the day, man, it's like when you win, that nobody complains when you're winning. And the thing about it is, if people are winning and everybody eating, you don't see this. You only see this when it's like expanded growth. And black people are big on trying to pretend like um they're not. Some people are like Tommy don't care, but certain people are but a lot of most black folks don't want to be seen as an obvious hater. So they put up straw man arguments, and then the easiest one is he took shit from me. Jason is not the progenitor. Like you, just like how you notice how I don't necessarily say Tommy is like the you like when people say you wouldn't have this space without Tommy. I don't agree with that. I do believe Tommy was one of the earlier folks. Fine, I'll give you that. I'll give you he took a lot of arrows. I'll give you that, but he did that all for himself. Tommy is not one of these motherfuckers where he gives a fuck about any of y'all. He did this for him. Period. And a lot of y'all don't understand that he did this. But Jason, you've never heard me say Jason was the progenitor of this space either. You have never heard me once say that ever come out of my mouth. So it's not like I got my favorite people that I try to say are the progenitor of this space. I don't do that. And so when anybody tries to come with the everything has come from me bullshit. You can't say we kiss white ass, but at the same time, everything we say. I mean, Jason just said last night, and BGS is absolutely correct. I didn't hear Jason using that concubine shit. I heard BGS use that first. Jason had his other words. There were a lot more, hard punching or quote unquote harsh, as fucking fragile folks like to say, which is whorehouse rules, bastard baby makers. You don't ever hear BGS use that type of language, but at the end of the day, it's a fucking word. Nobody, and I always used to say that about Rashida Schroeder. When people get on this, you can't patent ideas. You can't, but not like that. You can't copyright. You can't. You can't do that. And people are not caught. And there is a semblance of echo effects. But the reality is, some of these ideas, we all are black. We all come from the a similar shared experience. So this idea that you're not going to come to similar conclusions is bullshit. Like, for instance, SYSBM doesn't have a patent on interracial dating. Like, it's this dumb. It's like people saying I got a patent on making a hamburger. No, you don't. No, you don't. Just like you got a patent on making a pizza. That's essentially what people do. You don't have a patent on the black male experience. Just like how people don't have a patent on being pro-black. You don't have a patent on that. And there is something to be said about plagiarizing. Jason will make it sound like every idea he's brought to this space is an original idea. Shit, the group economic shit isn't. Now, he gives credit. The question is, do you give credit to people? And Jason gives credit to certain people, but there's a lot of people he doesn't. You've never heard him mention BGS Igmore's mouth. So I mean, but he's a good example of taking in the meat and spitting out the bones, because I do believe he has insightful information. LBGS said he could do the same thing in 30 minutes. I know he can. But the thing is, I deal with the content that's available. This is why I always refer people to BGS's archive, which I often say we got to get better at like organizing some of this stuff. How do y'all like the little video thing? Y'all like that? Press one if y'all think that's cool. I mean, Kevin, like, oh, well, he copied me. No, he did it, because your shit was a radio broadcast. Kevin put it online. Kevin's show is not, even with his after hours, his show is not set up the same way. It's not. And the thing is, Jason was giving him credit for production in the first time he talked about it. So it is what it is. Yeah, I actually made this with Canva. So let me take, what the fuck? Hold on. This is how you know you got a basic ringtone. Yeah, so yeah, because I expect this to be like 2.5 hours anyway. No, I muted it. I was talking to somebody real quick, trying to get this thing going. Because what he's doing is a little bit technical. Because you got to remember, he's gonna show him working on it as well as me talking. So that's a certain setup that's got to do. So anyway, yeah, I did all this. Like this is like layers upon layers of stuff. So anyway, so here's the thing that like no he no so we gotta get an established definition of what saving women is. Like we gotta really understand what that is. Because my problem with a lot of shit that folks say, we black people are very emotional people. Like we tend, and I'm talking about black men too, we tend to want to say damn logic and it's how I fucking feel. And I'm sorry, I'm always gonna have an issue with that. I'm always gonna have an issue with that. So when people say, well, Jason, both of them are trying to save women, explain when you say trying to save women, explain what that means. Because when I hear that, I hear black men, these dudes are trying to sell men that they need to deal with women that are not marriage material. They're A, trying to sell people on marriage, and B, trying to, or commitment, and B, they're trying to tell you to commit to somebody is fundamentally not worth committing to. Kevin has said that marriage ain't for everybody. Kevin has said that Kevin is very clearly outlined, if you're in corporate of America, he recommends it because that's going to help you in advance and it's going to hurt you in advancement. Y'all can disagree with that if you want to. I tend to agree with that. If you're in that kind of line career path, eventually you're going to run into something if you get into the higher thing. Now, all y'all won't get to that level. Now, is that for everything? No, but that's what he's saying. And then he's also saying, as far as if you're in the higher echelons, and you're trying to create a family and shit. That's so he says it for a majority of people, marriage, yeah, because what you got to do and what these women expect is not in alignment. He has said that. Jason, just on that other video, said 80% of black women, and he is a pro-black through and through. 80% of black women are not marriage material. And he clearly outlined, and trust me, the shit that he was outlining is a lot more stricter than what Kevin was outlining. A lot of the stuff that Jason Black would disqualify you for, Kevin was just saying, well, if you can find somebody that works for you, works for you. Now, to be fair to Jason has also said that he don't, he believes in people need to get with other people that's equally yoked, which is something I agree with too, which I think is never addressed in the high value thing. But the problem is Kevin has always said he represents certain folks as far as with his prime target audience. And then everybody want to pretend they're that because this is what dudes did with the select non-select. This is what folks do with swag. Everybody wants to be in the in crowd. Like, I'm short. No matter what, however I want to slice it or finagle the numbers, I'll never be tall. That is what that is. There's certain things that y'all won't be. And y'all need to be okay with that. But we can't be okay with that. But and this is why the women always want to take the light skins and the exoticals, but then they got the love-hate relationship on that shit. This is why they do it. But black men do it too. The sexual politicking thing. So at the end of the day, when people say you're trying to save women, not really. What they're doing is saying this is your inputs. Here's how the system works, which is the process, and then your outcomes are going to be your outcomes. And so women are coming to both of them because their outcomes are trash. All you got to do is look at Jason Black's who was calling in. These chicks look like life just came at them fast. Grab a Snickers. And Jason was saying, this is what you legit gonna have to do. And the shit was not easy. The shit was not easy to handle. It wasn't for them. I mean, them chicks look broken. It was calling Jason. I mean, for real broken. I'm not talking about like to the point where even their bullshit ass pride was broken in half. No, no, no. But see, Carlton, the problem is even having that mindset of I may be tall somewhere is problematic. because that lacks acceptance. You have to accept what it is, because when you can accept what it is, then you can say, okay, how do I chart a course? How do I? It's like a compass, and a compass has to, like, obviously that's science. But if the compass with gravity couldn't determine what north is, or what the pole is, what gravity pushes towards it, what do you have? A compass is spinning out of fucking control. Sounds familiar? It's just say dudes do it too with the street and educate. You got to accept who you are. Now, everybody isn't one thing or another thing. People are more one thing than another, and then you move with it. That's it. That's why I look at things on spectrums. But too many times we like to lean on things like it's all this or all that. And this is not what we're going to talk about on Am1 stream, by the way. But it's all this, it's all that. And then I'm in the in crowd, and it's childish. It's high school ish. Folks are grown. And then people say, yeah, man, well, I don't care, but that nigga wrong. You saying he wrong because it's, it's whatever, man. This is why niggas get mad when the street, they think, yeah, man, real manhood. And they identify real manhood as this fucking Neanderthal type shit. This Taliban-esque shit, as Obsidian would pull it. Because niggas are trying to fight back with the masculinity they see is under attack. But they swing the pendulum. They're swinging the pendulum completely the other way. So they start promoting shit they really shouldn't. So I ain't even looking at what she's saying. But my point is, what the fuck is she saying? First of all, see, one thing I'm gonna say is a lot of y'all chicks that talk this bullshit, y'all need to start coming on these panels, and doing one-on-ones. Fuck the y'all coming in the chat being brave, because anybody can be brave in the chat. Number one, you say you would not marry a 50-50 man. Okay, there's a reason why 75% of black women are not married. And let's examine what a 50-50 man is. First, let's be clear here. And this is why at the end of the day, let me start off here because I want to lead. I got to be the example I want to see. Sugar Bum, my answer to you is don't date black men then. Stop fucking black men. Start going, get you a Hispanic man, get you a white man, whoever the fuck you want to get. And I promise you, you'll come back with a 50-50 man, but there's just another race. Because that's what all these females do. They always getting a nigga that make a white dude is, or somebody's making less than them, or the nigga's a stay-at-home dad. Sage Steele is actually a very attractive woman, very athletically built. You can tell she looked, because her age has kept her even till now. She ended up getting a white man that was a stay-at-home husband, and that same motherfucker divorced her ass. And he wasn't staying home because he was a bum. He was staying home because, fuck it, you want to work? Shit. You want to be seen? I'm going to be with these kids and indoctrinate them to side with me like white men do. And then you going to be out. And that's what happened. Same thing with Karasin. Karasin's husband made less than her until he passed her. So when y'all talk that shit, we know it's not about what you want. It's about what you can get. Just like a nigga saying, I'm never going to date a chick under a 7. Okay, until biology starts knocking. And then y'all gonna get with what y'all. We know how you, because most of you niggas are not disciplined like that. Most of you chicks are not disciplined like that. And here's the thing: you said you wouldn't marry a 50-50 man. Cool. Guess what? You didn't say you wouldn't fuck one. And men don't give a fuck about marriage like that. If 9 times out of 10, if a man can fuck you and not have to, marriage is commitment. You make it sound like you're giving a man something. Jason Black said this: when a man marries a woman, a man is marrying who you are. That's it. Nothing else. A woman marries a man. A woman is expecting all this other shit: protection, the resources, the status, which is why you said you wouldn't marry a 50-50 man. But guess what? A man is only getting you. And you say that shit now. But again, this is why y'all chicks are in these situationships with these niggas, and y'all want to make it like niggas don't want to commit. No, y'all purposely go out and y'all look for niggas that don't want to get married. They just want to slide the fuck through and out. That way y'all could have that victim story that y'all love to have. That wait till exhale, I'm a victim to these niggas. And like I said, Jason Black, what's significant about what Jason Black said, Jason Black is an unapologetic pro-black. So these are, now you're starting to see these pro-blacks starting to tell, some of them starting to tell y'all, other than BGS, starting to tell y'all what the deal is. Everybody knows what the deal is. It's just a matter of, all right, y'all, we got the link. Let me see. So I'm about to guide y'all over there real quick. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna have both streams up for a minute. Yeah, other races of women do have to work. Hispanic women work a hell of a lot more than black women do in the law of averages. They are always trolling because they have nothing else to say. Which is why, this is why, you get people like Vanessa Bryant. These hoes want attention. So when chicks talk about I would never marry a 50-50 man, I'm like, why are you here? You act like you're saying something. I would never marry a 50-50 man. Niggas don't give a fuck about marrying you. They just want to know what that throat do. That's it. They just want to know what that throat do and throw they back out. And we all know that money ain't required. It's just you gotta like how he look. Like that's not even a secret anymore. So y'all talk about marriage like we need to be married. Most niggas don't want. Like, what are you talking about? Like, y'all really be thinking you saying something. Just like when Cynthia G talk about we gonna abort black male babies. Cool. If we really want kids, we'll pick a bitch we want kids with. The rest of y'all, you to abort a black male baby, you gotta actually let a nigga nut in you first. This is the dumb shit. Y'all really think y'all saying something. Yeah, I'm still here, y'all. Give me a second. Even that language, even can you press one if you can hear me? Even that language, I'm a bag another husband is problematic. Words matter. And it's kind of like you're saying I'm a bag husband number two by 30. That's that April Mason bullshit. Like, number one, a husband is not somebody to fucking be bad. You all look at hold on. Yeah, like y'all look at husbands like glorified relationships. I'm gonna show you something. You know what? I wasn't gonna do this, but I want to make a point. I want to make a point. I want to make a point. Now, this is a woman that I know. This is a woman that I know. Come on, son. This is a woman that makes a lot of money, and when they're actually, I'm not gonna say their location, but they were actually in like the suburb that I was in the Raleigh Durham area. Where's that fucking shit at? Where's it at? Where's it at? Where's that? Where's that? Where's that? Where's that? Where's that picture? Come on, where's that picture? Cause I want y'all, like, I really hold on. Yeah, cause I really want. Let me see if I can find it. I want to make. Dang, I just had the picture. God, 'cause I want to make this point because y'all look at marriage like glorified relationships. Like, when I say relationships, like y'all that shit is like premium dating. It's really outside of the validation. Like, when and maybe you can bag a husband, I don't care about that, but the truth is, the if you get divorced once, it's a very likely you're going to get divorced again. So the thing about, like, for instance, I'll give you a perfect example just to speak to what you were just saying. Jason Black, it was a chick that called in, and this chick was 37 years old. She had a kid, a daughter. It's dustiness everywhere, but whatever. Her mom ain't shit. And like I said, I'm much more amenable to hearing what y'all got to say if y'all admit it was your mom that fucked you up too. I ain't saying your dad was perfect, but if you say your mom was in there too, I'm willing to have an ear. You can get to the next court hearing and won't be dismissed. So they were coming out the gate with that. So Jason heard them out. But her in particular, she was talking about how she had this kid. She had a kid at like 18. She moved to Arkansas. She gave the kid, gave, like, basically moved to Arkansas for like 8 years. And long story short, it was some sexual abuse involved. It was some sexual abuse involved. Um, and with her daughter, with her mom's husband. So I guess it was a new dude. He's in jail, so she did what she needed to do with that. But the long story short, she left her kid with him for like 8 years, with them for like 8 years to get her nursing degree. They were checking her for that. But the thing is, here's the crazy part. She got married, and she was married to a dude, and she was married to a dude with that kid. So the kid was going back and forth, but the point is the kid had a job. The dude had a job. And then she just divorced him. When he asked why, basically it was just, I got tired of the motherfucker. And then she came in the conversation talking about, I want to save my daughter. I can't be saved. And it's like, well, you did all this shit and you fucked your daughter. You set her up to be fucked. You had a nigga that literally took you with the stepdad shit and you threw it away. And so I keep telling y'all, we can argue back and forth, but I understand that you all are gonna fuck it up because that's the problem. But anyway, we're done with this. I'm about to drop the link. I'm dropping the link. Here's the link to the live stream.
AM1, 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 AM1. Let's get into some ish talking. Let's see. I think you are muted.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
What is up?
Yeah. AM1. About to go at it with the good brother Edward Anderson. About to talk a whole lot of shit. And Manispherian topics, what we could be doing, what we should be doing, what we is doing, what we ain't doing. What you just saw, if you didn't, if you tuned in properly at the right time, you caught it, a reel of some of the work that I do. I'm a creative consultant, videographer, motion graphic designer, operating out of Oakland, California, and internationally, a designer. Making it happen. Been rocking with the Manosphere for a few years now, and one of the brothers that showed me a lot of love when I first kind of came into the space was our good brother here, Edward Anderson, Mr. Long-Winded himself, Mr. And by the way, shout out to the folks, EA. I'll let the folks. You there?
My bad, man. I'm working with these settings, trying to trying to make sure this is audio is coming through on my headset, and not my old Logitech thing. Man, what is up, everybody? Man, for all of y'all that's found AM1. If you're here because of me, you know what it is. But if you all are new because of AM1, because I know AM1 got a really good local thing going, like on the ground, welcome, welcome. We got quite a few folks in the space from California. Obviously O'Shea is out of California, one of the top heavy folks, but a lot of other folks. I was actually born in Los Angeles, California. Fun fact, Dominguez, Compton, Dominguez Hospital, long time ago. Left when I was 4, so that's why I don't like to be false flagging, false claiming, but I am native there, so my earliest memories. So anyway, yeah, I'm looking forward to having this conversation. I think it's a needed conversation. I think it's a needed conversation from an approach that is not, minus the politics, minus the political bullshit. So, yeah.
No, that's what's up. As we discussed before, so obviously, we chat behind the scenes and been tapped in for years. And as we were chatting yesterday, just talking about ramping up exposure here with this YouTube thing, Black Manospherian YouTubian.
I love that shit. I ain't gonna lie.
I've been rocking with just YouTube in general. Like my whole career lifestyle now, doing the kind of work I do, I is all self taught based on legit watching YouTube videos, like going over tutorials, going over content creators that are talking about camera gear and whatnot, motion graphic tutorials. So I'm like a living example of what we could be doing with this tool. The great and dangerous thing it is, since they're using it to censor certain topics and whatnot, but that's kind of a different discussion. But you really can't change your life with the information here on YouTube. Basically, it's just a search engine, right? So some people be like, oh, you learned that on YouTube or yada yada, try to downplay it, but it's like, nah, bro, you can build a whole life and career. I'm a living example of it. Been working for myself independently for coming up on 7 years, 6.5 years. So I don't want to hear nobody talking about what they can't do with this tool. If you sit up on this thing for hours and hours and you ain't making it happen, you are catting all the way off to something saying in the Bay Area, you catting, you a J cat. But yeah, man, I really want to talk about just relative to YouTube, like YouTube, the space that we have, utilizing it properly. What are we doing with the thing? What are we not doing with it? And since we were talking about like ramping up more exposure on this, I know you've been talking about getting like graphic looks together and really building out your channel and doing these kind of things. So my bad on the technicality side, but I wanted you to send me what you did. Edward send me the new logo that he was building on because I saw some different ways that I could potentially tweak that and just dial that in because that's the kind of work I do. I'm a graphic designer, motion graphic designer, creative consultant. So we're gonna try to work on that while chatting it up as well. Because we're gonna try to see if I can still make that happen. A little bit of technical difficulties because of these operating systems on this computer is relative to it letting me share the screen. Basically, I got a MacBook Pro M1 chip. It's too decked out for these damn programs. The other programs haven't caught up yet. You know anything about that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
So basically how it works is when they were rolling out M1, they rolled it out on the Mac Mini first. Um, and then they rolled it out on the smaller MacBook Pro, not the 16-inch. And they came, so that was like the Mac Mini was out for like 6 months. And so basically it was like a year rollout. And then the iMac is when it really became time to play because with the iMac you could do more because you could do more at an easier price. And that's what a lot of the big people are going to have, creators going to have. But a year, you know how it is in computer technology time, like for stuff to catch up, for companies to catch up. Because when you do that, it's like it's is you got to test it. It works, and it's like if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And it's the same thing when they do an operating system update, but it's a lot more deeper than that because you're dealing with a whole chip. So another thing too is because the M1 is made in house with Apple and it's no longer Intel. And keep in mind, this is the first version of that. They can make it cheaper. So you're talking about a computer, a Mac computer. I mean, it's cheap. Apple's gonna get their profit, but they still can make them at a competitively priced. They can give you more for literally the same price, and maybe make it a little bit less. So that's why you got the 14-inch and stuff like that. And then the iMac, the way the iMac is kind of coming out with all the colorful stuff and stuff. But the problem with that is, like you said, sometimes it takes a couple of years for companies to really catch up to that. So for a while, people are going to probably be getting still getting the Intel ones. The Intel ones still have value, especially the ones that have not been sold yet. That a lot of retailers still have. And they're going to be a lot less expensive because they're not the main thing. So, yeah, I've seen that. I've seen that with a lot of. I mean, I've seen that even with operating systems where certain people don't update past. I mean, it's like 2 or 3 operating systems ago, like Mojave, because there's certain things that won't work past that because of the 32-bit thing. This is all inside baseball, but this is deeper than that because it's a whole chip. So yeah, I get it. And one of the things that I like is people need to kind of see I like people seeing the progression of things, to seeing everything could look dusty and not look great, and then turn around and it looks awesome. That's why I like to go to like the original videos of certain content creators. Most content creators don't remove their old stuff. They don't have a problem with that and like pretend like they always came out the gate great. So I always say go into YouTube and go to oldest videos, no matter who your favorite content creator is, especially if they show their face and stuff, and look at how the stuff started, and that will give you a different perspective on what reinvestment and stuff like that. And yeah, from a technical perspective, it's good to see how the sausage is made and see how this stuff isn't perfect.
no, I totally agree, and that's been kind of one of my things, just being in my own head about YouTube. And well, I mean, one, doing client work and the kind of work I do over the past few years and how it's ramped up and expanded like crazy. Plus, for many years, I was doing a lot of event promotion in the Bay Area. So I'm doing event promotion and pivoted over to the freelance kind of video work, consulting work that I do now. So I was doing all that at the same time. And then I kind of started mingling into the YouTube, kind of like YouTube manosphere space. So I was always off and on, kind of,
Yeah,
out rocking in real life, so to speak.
absolutely.
Um, I say that to say I should have been ramped up and did a lot more damage on this thing. And part of that is I want to make sure my presentation is dope. I mean, I've been on plenty of streams where I'm just on a regular camera, whatever. No, and I got like, heavier cameras in the background, like the camera I'm shooting on now during this stream. Actually, it's my best camera, one of my best high-end cameras I've ever had. And trying to have it look crispy. So it's a weird thing. It's like, hey, you do this kind of work, but then you just on some kind of janky stream on your old ass camera phone, because I don't really trip on camera phones like that. But yeah, just in my head about it, like I need a perfect presentation. But to your point of watching the progression, But I gotta take my shit to another level and really flex with this YouTube stuff I'm doing. Like, I really want to show people more of the kind of work that I'm doing with my clients, and I'm gonna build out a whole other channel for that. I'm gonna keep this channel just kind of general shit talk channel
Yeah.
and manosphere kind of topics. But at the same time, I do want it to have a bleed over into like, okay, Black YouTube, manosphere type topics, the same kind of stuff that we've been cycling through for years. We got younger guys coming into the space. We got older guys in the space, older than myself. I'm 43. I know you're younger than me. We got guys 10 years older than me. I think KS is like 50.
The highest folks are like gonna be like BGS is like 62, but most of them in the higher ends are gonna be like 50 to 55. Like most of them are like 53, 52, 54. Yeah, they're in the higher echelons. Really, it's just Black Huru and BGS is in the 60s. Like as far as people that you would know. So yeah, you got late 40s, early 50s. It's like early 40s, early 50s. It's not really a lot of late 50s folks. It's early 40s, early 50s. Yeah. And then it's like mid 30s. And then it's like
So they're thinking about the young brothers in here. So like even early 20s, like there's brothers that I've talked to online, offline for
mhm.
years that have hit me up and said, "Hey, I want to talk to you offline." I've had brothers say, "I want to pay you for your time to just kind of consult about things," and I'm thinking they're talking about career moves, and then it turns out that they're asking me legit about how to deal with women, and I'm like, wow,
Yeah,
interesting
yeah,
situation.
yeah, and yeah, it's a lot of there are folks, and in me, I don't do that, because I'll if it's a question, I'll answer it like in a video or maybe stuff like that. I'll answer like in text back and forth, but I don't charge for that. Not because that's a bad thing. I'm not saying that. I just I prefer to kind of focus like how I get money from people and stuff like that in a different way. And because it's a certain type of when you're giving people advice like that, there's certain, in my opinion, there's certain type of accountability that comes along with that. That's just how I take it. And so I want to really be prepared to do that when I start doing that. Even when it comes to the internet marketing stuff, I'll give people a lot of stuff to create that relationship. Not to say that I'm afraid to charge people, but I'll say go here, go here, go here, and then that way I'm not putting the burden on myself because like this person gave me money, so now I need to kind of make sure they see it through. Because at the end of the day, a lot of this stuff, like you said with YouTube, a lot of this stuff is about you taking action. And then with the women thing, that's a whole bunch of bag of worms because that's not a linear thing. So I usually give people that I like recommend, recommend to know what they're talking about. Like these are the people that like Ron Wells or ARC or because Ron Wells actually last time I checked, this was a while ago, so it may not be the same. He had like a coaching like kind of like mastermind thing that was like $7 a month. He was using that with Connect Pal. So if you wanted to ask somebody a question, you pay him $7 a month, and then he's available for that. And he's a guy that he knows he's talking about. He sold that type of information. He lives it. And stuff like that. And then BGS will tell you for free too. And he's in LA, so he's in one of the higher dating markets. You got new people too, like Shannon, that's coming up. Another dude, LA. And these are the hardest dating markets. So if you can do it there, they can do it anywhere for the most part. So, but there is a need, and you're seeing the younger, and that's why I've always said too that I push for younger people to make content because they can speak to their own situations, maybe not the dating thing, but their own situations a little bit better than we can, like the 19 to 25 market. And you're starting to see that, but a lot of us are getting older or coming into it. But the truth is, that's where black men are. I mean, the younger folks are going to come in because they're online more than anybody in general. So I'm not worried about that. That'll happen when that happens. But the market is definitely expanded. So this is what I want to do. Because one of the things I wanted to do was talk about the past, the present, and the future. Now, the future is the most important thing. The present and future are the most important. But I really want to say, like, this is where we've been, and take a little bit of time to go there. That way, people understand like where stuff is going.
No, I love it. And just so you're aware, behind the scenes, we're still trying to see about getting this Adobe situation going and how I can kind of still
Okay, absolutely, yeah, because they probably care more about us talking. 'Cause we can always do a stream with that too. So definitely work on that, and then ask me questions in between. Like I said, I want to try to cam up, for folks. I don't always do that. So anyway, let's see what's in the. Is anybody saying anything in the damn stream? 1 second. What's good? Everybody, what's good? What's good? Yeah, what's up, everybody? What's up, Dion, Doug? Bruce. Like I said, I still got my other stream up. I told these folks, like, yeah, I'm killing that soon. So, it's like herding cats, as BGS says. And make sure anybody's over here with me, you need to be subbed to AM1. Straight up, no chaser. Y'all need to be
So
subbed to
you're
him.
doing like a dual stream right now.
Yeah, I'm actually doing a technical test with StreamYard. I'm actually curious about this, so people can kind of hear me. And I'll put it on a banner like I'm killing this stream soon. So I wanted to see how it worked, and that's actually interesting that this is working. Like I'm actually flipping back and forth between them. I actually literally got it streaming. Like I got it streaming so they can see our video right now. So when I say I'm killing it, I mean that. And telling them to come over here, and I know they can hear me. I know you niggas can hear me. So y'all need to bring your ass over here. you have 5 minutes. You have
Already the link in there,
yeah.
ready to go.
You have
But
10 minutes
speaking of
till.
that,
Go ahead.
see that's part of the game too. Like doing the kind of work I do, there's so many layers to the game, even with visual consulting work. And then there's the whole YouTube thing, and then even knowing the different programs and the best tech to set this up to be able to go from platform to platform. This whole dual stream situation, like how you're doing it right now. I love how these other platforms like StreamYard or Zoom or whatever just kind of took advantage of what YouTube even took away, disabled itself. Because you remember we were doing like Rumble streams and panels and
The
whatnot, and then
hangouts.
Google Chat,
Hmm.
Hangouts, right? Then they take it away, and then other platforms step up and end up catching a bag over that. And I'm like, yeah, I love it. I love anything decentralized.
A guy that you want to, and I told you this over the phone, a guy that you want to look up is a guy by the name of Kirk Nugent. Like this dude, he only has 5,000 subscribers right now. Like he's a little bit under me, but his stuff is gonna blow up. I mean, you as somebody that does what you do, because you do what you do, but you're not necessarily expert on the live stream aspect, right? Not as much as you are with the videography, photography. You're especially what you just said about you learn a lot of stuff on YouTube. You are gonna love the stuff he says. And yeah, he has a paid thing, but all the stuff he puts on there every time StreamYard comes up with a new rollout. Like he was just talking about the virtual backgrounds, like he was just talking about the slides. He goes over all of that and he does it very simple. He comes from the church space, so pretty much, but he interviews a lot of other content creators. I mean, the rabbit hole goes so deep on like this live stream and stuff and what you can really do with it. He was just doing a video on Stream Deck too. So definitely check him out because you're gonna like that. I found him through BGS actually. And so when I play on 7 Live, my live stream game up, it's gonna be a lot of that's gonna be due to him. A lot of the actually framework of some of those pictures that I did with the like you and the portrait and then me in landscape, that's kind of based on something he did. Um that's based on like his collaboration thing. So anyway, so yeah, so as far as the past, so where have we been? Okay, in the beginning, no. Straight up. So the pre manosphere is pretty much the we're gonna call it the golden age of dating, which is the golden age of pickup in particular. Pickup, which is 99 through 2000, really, and seven. Really, which is that's that mystery method stuff. That's when Tariq was really in the game. That's when they were having reality shows about it. That was the early 2000s. The main negative thing was obviously the backdrop of 9/11 and the war on terror. But there was a lot of money being made in the United States. It was a lot of money flowing, a lot of money flowing in real estate. Ask black people, they will tell you. Not only real estate but mortgage stuff because of this is before the subprime loans. This is what led up to it. There was a lot of money being thrown around. Point blank, you had a lot of money. A lot of the pickup stuff was very popular too because this is where people had started to systemize the ability to pick up with women, and they made it to the masses. Game was systemized. This is what the white boys did. Now, truth be told, they took a lot of that shit from people like Tariq and ARC because ARC was big in direct dating. But because it's hard to sell direct dating, because when you do something like mode one, you're swinging and a missing. So you're really standing on the strength of who you are because you're being very direct as to what you want. And it's not about saying, "Hey, bitch, I want some pussy." It's an art to that, but you're not you hiding behind the indirect, and that's why indirect sold more. But the problem is, you had a lot of internet marketers. One of the problem is you had a lot of internet marketers in that space. Now the man's rights movement had already existed and all that, but that was purely a political thing. And then you got to remember what the internet was back then. Google. Google wasn't Google. YouTube wasn't YouTube. Facebook wasn't Facebook didn't even come around at all until 2008. So you got to remember, this was MySpace, this was Napster, all of that, Black Planet. So it wasn't what it is today because people didn't have the phones to access the stuff. You had to be on a computer. Everybody didn't have a computer. This is what people had to be on. I mean, you're older than me, so you understand. You were a little bit more in tune. Like I grew up in the transition. You were kind of more in tune with it because you got like 7 years on me, so you get everything I'm saying. And you had to really be technology bound to really be into this stuff or deal with it in school. This is what people would be online in the libraries, online in the school, computer room, all that bullshit. Anyway, so that's the before. Fast forward, 2008 happened, 2006 happened, really. The subprime mortgage thing, 2008 led to Obama getting elected. And then basically everything was kind of in flux for 3 years as far as, because a lot of these women started to learn, they started to get on game. Because the way this stuff was being packaged and sold, it didn't have true authenticity. White. I'm just gonna say it just like it needs to be said. The Caucasians don't really have the flavor Black people have. So because we come in a gynocracy where game was needed to get a female, unless you were very much pre-qualified off the gate, it wasn't about status or who you was or pedigree or necessarily money, unless you had like real, like I don't mean real money, but I mean like, you young, you have a car, stuff, you had something that's gonna create an outcome. Not know you got yourself together and got your bases together. That's not enough. Versus we came in a different environment. So even dudes that would be considered gameless in our community would still have some basics of stuff and so anyway, and the Latins were good with that too, but they didn't come from the exact same environment we did. So long story short, that pickup stuff stopped working because the way it was packaged, these women started to be able to detect those patterns because women are social creatures, intuitive, and the social shit is more their domain anyway. So they started to see that for what it was, which was it wasn't a lot there, and it became harder and harder and harder, and then the market got burnt out. And there were internet marketers, there were dating coaches. Evan Pagan is one of them. He was David D'Angelo, and there's a couple others. There was some real folks too, like Player Supreme, ARC. But it's harder for us, so we got to be real. It's harder for us. That Fresh and Fit, what Fresh and Fit does would have been impossible back then, because the market, it was too much money in the market, and people would expose other people, and then people were looking for actual results. Anyway, long story short, we go to 2008 to 11, and the market burns out. The subprime stuff happens. All that happens, and then you get to 2011. 2011 is where really this is where 1.0 was first came on the YouTube. So you had a couple of things leading up to that, but this is where it really came online with YouTube. This is where Facebook started to open up a little bit more. It got past just the collegiate thing. So you had social media kind of coming into kind of like social media 2.0, so to speak. Phones started to be more available. Like the Sidekick was one of, I mean, obviously the iPhone came out in 08, but yeah, other like the Android network came out like couple of years later. So it really expanded it. So in 1.0, like, look, I'm not gonna name everybody because I don't know everybody. Like Soul and Black, SWP, and then you had people like Charles Holler, certain ideas was coming online. But there's others. Obviously, Tommy was one of the first ones to come in here. I'm not gonna act like he wasn't. Jason Black was with him. You had a lot of different stuff going on there. And so the point is a 1.0. 1.0 really established a lot of the framework for a lot of things. They were the first ones to really interact back and forth with women. This is what a lot of these ideas of colorism, all that, where people really started having a real back and forth conversation where somebody was saying something, it was responded to. And this is back when YouTube had, a response video where you can respond. You can actually do a response video. That was a reply video. This was kind of before AdSense got real big, way before Super Chats. That's relatively new still. And so it wasn't any money in it. It was just people talking. It's basically taking the format and applying into it. There's things around that under it, websites, shit like that. I get that. I'm not saying it wasn't. Lipstick Alley, a lot of stuff people did with game, all that stuff was there. But as far as like what we see on YouTube, that was the first thing. So fast, we had Thug Titian, a lot of people. I guess they said, well, Hardcore Tito, like a lot of people. Everybody doesn't know everybody. Fast forward, we get to 2014, which is the emergence of 2.0. O'Shea Jackson, Obsidian, and Obsidian was around the whole time, by the way, because he was just writing articles, writing blogs. David Carroll was around writing articles, writing blogs. So it wasn't they weren't there, but this is where they really came on to YouTube, right? And this is where the separation happened, because in 1.0, so let me say another thing with 1.0. The big thing with 1.0 is 1.0 established the separation, like between the white manosphere and black manosphere. That's the one thing that led in, is like that's really where that kind of back and forth happened. And 2.0 was like really the emergence of, okay, it's separate. Because the thing about it is there's certain things that the manosphere can't address that black men deal with, point blank period. And we need to have our own shit anyway. And the white boys had this thing where they thought we were just gonna go full race on them, and so they wanted to go back and forth with that. Once they realized that we're really not doing that, like a couple of years into two, they finally backed off of that. But that was that. So that was the big one of the bigger things in 1.0 was the separation. We go to 2.0, and 2.0 is really 2014 to 2018. And that's when you saw the emergence of Angry Man, O'Shea, BGS, Obsidian, Black Ram. You saw the emergence of Igmore, and there was other people as well. But you saw the emergence of Igmore, which is Introspective Black Men in Reform, which is kind of like, it's not really MGTOW for black men, but it's really like solving the issues that black men have with MGTOW, but applying it in something to still putting yourself first. You got SYSBM. And Mad Bus Driver created that. It was a guy to create Igmore, not BGS. And so these are solutions that were, okay, we talked to these chicks, now we're going to have the now what conversations. And that's when all these ideas emerged. Black conservatism, the marriage, all that. Fast forward, that's the Google Hangout, the Rumble. Kevin was in there, all that. Fast forward, we get to 2018. This is really the emergence of really 3.0. And I would argue that's where we're at right now. And you saw the initial wave of that, like a fantastic, all of that, some people from the Rumble. Then you saw, I think, a more bigger wave of that, which is now you're seeing people like the lead attorney, Pocket Watcher with JT, Dennis Sperling, a lot of the, TLA, a lot of the, lead attorney, a lot of black male professionals. And I think I like this because after 2018 is when COVID happened. So that kind of changed the market. And so, and in all of these things, YouTube has changed. YouTube has made it more monetized. YouTube has been seen as more legitimate. The technology is caught up because every TV has most TVs have access to Wi-Fi. So Fire Sticks are cheap. Obviously we've gone digital, which we wasn't always that way. That switch that happened. So social media is different. Stuff it's easier for stuff to go viral because everything is set up for that now. The technology is cheaper as far as going streaming, doing all that stuff. You got a lot of underground technology. Like here's my, Yeti mic I got from literally got it from a pawn shop for $50. The stuff is easier access to now. So that's kind of how we got here. And I can give a whole bunch of shit like the list that happened where they tried to knock us off, all of the channels being deleted, because that's where a lot of these 1.0 people got hipped up on. Their stuff got deleted. Some of them moved on. There's a lot of detail in that, but that's where we are now. And by the way, with all these conversations, you have cycles in which when we have conversations of these with women, what they'll do is they'll gaslight, then they'll lie, then they'll finally tell the truth and say, damn you niggas, like, oh, this is why we like D boys. And that stuff paved the way to the educated lane versus street dude debates. And they would go through cycles. Like every year it would be like every quarter it would be a cycle of BS that a lot of folks were saying. And so we've heard them admit to the stuff we said. So this is why certain people the chameleon argument comes into play now. So anyway, that's where we are. That's where we were. So any questions about where we were before I move into where we are? All right, y'all, I'm killing that stream, by the way. Y'all had enough time. So and I've got a